But Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms.
Word, bitch. Phantom's like a motherfucker. What's up now?
I wanted to take a break from cape shit to talk about some cinema, but if we're gonna do this, we better do it right. Cinema is an art form. It's a window into another world. When it's done correctly, you are transported there and you know these characters, you understand them. You know the way its universe works. This is called immersion. It happens when a filmmaker and actors put everything they have into crafting each scene. Every shot, music cue, and line of dialogue is important and chosen deliberately to convey the exact emotion that they're trying to get across. And you, as the viewer, are hooked. You grow attached to these characters, and you feel as if you truly know them. And what does this all have to do with The Last Duel? Well, mostly nothing. I just want to sound smart. So The Last Duel was released in fall of 2021. It was directed by Ridley Scott and written by Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, and, oh boy, Nicole Halofenster? I hope I'm saying that right.
Nicole Halofenster.
And also stars Matt Damon, Adam Driver, and Jodie Comer, with a smaller role from Ben Affleck. And it was a huge flop. It didn't even make a dent into making back its $100 million budget. It flew in under the radar and just about no one saw it, which is a shame because this is a great movie, and one I recommend to everyone to check out. What I want to do is take some time and tell you about the movie, and hopefully it convinces you to watch it yourself. It's available digitally as well as on DVD and Blu-ray, and you can also stream it on HBO Max. So it's based on a true story and set in 14th century France, about two friends turned rivals. Jacques, played by Adam Driver, is accused of sexually assaulting Lady Marguerite, played by Jodie Comer, who is the wife of Jean, played by Matt Damon. Matt Damon's character takes him to court and challenges him to a duel to the death. Right off the bat, one of the most impressive things about this film were the sets and the combat. It's a gritty, dirty medieval time period, and you especially see that in the combat and swordplay. It's bloody and violent. Honestly, this whole movie feels really similar to Gladiator in that regard, especially with how real everything looks and feels, from the costumes to the sets to the interiors of castles and buildings, to when they're riding around on horseback in open fields. They spared no expense in trying to make this movie look as good as possible, and to do it as practical as possible. But what I love even more than the production is the story. It's very simple when you boil it down. One friend sexually assaults the other friend's wife, and now they're fighting to the death about it. But it's the way it's told that makes it very interesting. You see, it's told into 3 chapters, showing each of the main characters' side of the events. The first is Matt Damon's character, second is from Adam Driver's character, and the last is from Jodie Comer's character. There's gaps in the story, but that's because each party reveals more details about the events that took place when the other characters weren't around, and shows you what happened according to them. So you piece it together and fill in the blanks as you go. But more importantly, there will be several events that happen that both characters will get their perspective on, and you will notice that each character gives a very different take on what happened and how they perceived the events. For example, the sexual assault is given 2 different perspectives, and it shows you how each character said it happened. But on top of that, there are several conversations that play out completely differently, as well as other small events. And it shows you how each character just twists parts of the story, and they either do it to make themselves look better, or it shows how they misread and misinterpret events. And along the way, you learn more about these characters from how they perceive the events and how others said it happened. It's very interesting because each chapter you'll start to see how each character really is. But there's something that's even more important than just that. When it gets to the third and final perspective of Jodie Comer's character, you see what she went through and how even though she was the one that was assaulted, she actually gets pushed back, and instead the husband, played by Matt Damon, makes it about himself. Because like they said in the movie, during that time, a sexual assault on a man's wife was actually a crime committed against the husband because she's considered his property. It's pretty messed up, and you see the hurdles she goes through to try to seek justice, before of course it turns into a duel to the death between 2 old friends. And really you start to see that it's not actually about the sexual assault at all. He brought the duel up to basically serve his own pride and vanity, instead of actually trying to seek justice. So the way the story unfolds with the shifting perspectives, and how events are shown differently based on how the other characters said it went, makes this a very interesting watch. The first chapter does feel a little choppy, because it does skip large portions of time, but that's only because you're not given the full story yet, and that's when the other 2 chapters come in to fill in the blanks. And the performances are great all around. Adam Driver never fails, Matt Damon was good, and Jodie Comer was great. And I really enjoyed Ben Affleck as the Count, even though, if I'm being honest, his character did feel like he was just playing a party boy version of himself, just in medieval times. But it's what the character needed to be, so it actually works very well. Now, even though the movie is 2.5 hours long, it never actually felt that long and it didn't drag. It stayed very interesting and engaging throughout. This again is due in large part to the way the story and narrative is presented, causing you as the viewer to pay attention to get the full story, and to see how many details and events play out differently. So by doing that, it kept me hooked the whole time. Not to mention there are several action sequences here, and they're pretty fucking awesome. They're graphic, they're bloody, they're really gritty and dirty, especially the duel at the end. So both the drama and the action was handled very well. I mentioned that this movie was a bomb, and it's a shame because I feel this is a film for movie lovers. I know Chris Stuckman made a video about this, so I won't rehash everything he said, but I will be touching on a lot of the same points he made. But it is baffling that this movie bombed because it should have been a recipe for success. You have an auteur director with a name in the industry for decades, and a script written by 2 other well-known people in the industry, as well as some very well-known actors starring in it. It had a sizable budget with some great practical effects, sets, outfits, swordplay, a story and narrative that is very mature and presented in a very interesting way. It's the kind of movie that film lovers say they want to see made again. It's the kind of film that movie buffs say don't exist anymore, and want Hollywood to make more of. But yet when they actually get that, no one went out of their way to see it. I think the main reasons it flopped were the same reasons that Chris Stuckman said. First one is very poor marketing. I really don't remember seeing any ads leading up to this film's release. Nothing really on YouTube besides its 1 or 2 trailers. I definitely don't remember anything on social media. But more importantly, I don't remember seeing a trailer for it in the theaters when I saw other movies. I talked to a few people, and they said they think they might have seen a trailer, maybe just one time, but they don't really recall. In this day and age, to stay relevant and to stay in people's minds, advertisements have to be consistently pushed into people's faces. Because we see so many of them every day, they have to stay relevant and stick out. Another reason is that this is a movie that doesn't appeal to the masses. Movies set in the Middle Ages or medieval times, with swords and knights, don't attract people like they did 2 decades ago. And not to mention, it's not attached to any large, recognizable franchises, so many people just aren't familiar with it and aren't willing to take a chance on it. It sucks that this movie flopped, because not only is it great, and many people are missing out on something special here, but a movie like this failing means that a studio will be less likely to take a chance in the future. Instead of focusing on giving new experiences and stories, they instead will just fall back on what works, which will be sequels and installments in pre-existing franchises and comic book movies. And I like that stuff too, but damn, it's a rarity to find a movie like this nowadays. But I highly recommend that you guys check it out, because it's really great. The settings, the action, the drama, the story, it's all just fantastic. And I really think this is one of Ridley Scott's best films. And that's gonna do it for the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, go and drop a like on it. If you've seen The Last Duel, leave a comment and let me know what you think about it. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.
Matt Damon.